let's cut the crap. Most men these days walk around clueless, simping, begging, hoping she'll notice. I left. That's not how real attraction works. If you want to seduce a woman, you don't chase. You become the man who doesn't need to. This ain't about tricks or cheesy pickup lines. This is about owning your energy, mastering your presence, and walking like a man who commands respect and desire. If you're tired of being ignored, ghosted, or friend-zoned, it's because you're playing the wrong game. Today, left. I'm dropping 5 no BS tips that will flip the game in your favor permanently. This is your wake-up call. Confidence isn't optional. It's the currency of attraction. Every man has heard this before, but very few truly understand what it means. Confidence isn't about acting loud, showing off, or pretending to be something you're not. It's about walking into a room and knowing you belong there. It's about speaking and not needing validation. It's about doing your thing with certainty, whether people clap or not. Women can feel energy. They can sense hesitation, insecurity, fear. And just like that, interest dies. You could be good looking, rich, or stylish, but if your confidence is fake, it shows. You can't seduce a woman from a place of weakness. You can't expect her to feel something for you when you don't even feel sure of yourself. Confidence is magnetic. It pulls her in without force. It makes her wonder what's behind your calm, what makes you so certain, so at peace in your own skin. That's what seduction is: subtle energy, not loud tactics. Real confidence doesn't come from compliments or external approval. It comes from work, the inner work most men avoid. It's built in silence when no one is watching. It comes from keeping promises to yourself, from staying consistent, from leveling up, from not needing someone to clap for you every time you do something good. The guy who's desperate for female attention can never be confident because his self-worth depends on her response. That's weakness. A woman can smell it. The man who walks away when disrespected, the man who doesn't need to prove anything, the man who stays calm when others react, that man holds power. That power is what makes women curious. It's not about dominating others. It's about mastering yourself. When you carry that energy, you don't need to say much. Your body language does the talking. Left. Your eyes hold intensity. Your vibe tells her everything. Confidence also means owning your flaws. You don't need to be perfect. That's another lie society feeds you. You just need to be real. A man who is aware of his weaknesses and still stands tall is way more attractive than a man hiding behind fake strength. Women don't want perfection. They want authenticity. They want depth. They want a man who can hold himself up when life gets heavy. Confidence makes you emotionally stable. It makes you less reactive. It allows you to listen instead of interrupt. It helps you lead instead of control. It shows in how you speak, how you walk, how you respond when challenged. It's the foundation of masculine energy. Without it, no technique or tip will work. You'll always be trying instead of being. Confidence isn't something you show, it's something you are. That's why seduction starts there. It's built every time you say no to what doesn't serve you, every time you walk away from comfort, every time you speak your truth, every time you stop explaining yourself, every time you stay quiet instead of defending your value. Confidence isn't loud, it's quiet power. It's knowing you can without needing to prove it. It's the way you make eye contact without looking away. It's the calm in your voice when others raise theirs. It's the way you take up space, not by force, but by presence. It's the way you treat yourself when no one is watching. You can't fake this. She knows when you're trying too hard. She knows when you're acting tough, but feel small inside. She knows when you're putting on a mask, but when you're real, really grounded, she feels it. And she relaxes around you. Because confidence isn't just attractive. It's safe. It creates space for connection. It invites openness. It sets the tone. Confidence makes you lead with purpose, not performance. You're not there to impress. You're there to express. That shift changes everything. You stop chasing attention and start commanding it. You stop wondering what she thinks and start focusing on who you are. You stop waiting for the perfect moment and start creating it. Confidence is freedom. It frees you from overthinking. It frees you from neediness. It frees you from fake games. It frees you from fear. And that's what women want. Not a puppet with lines memorized from the internet, but a man who knows who he is and isn't afraid to stand in that truth. Confidence is the currency of attraction because it's rare. Most men are still searching for it outside, but it lives inside you. And once you find it, you don't need to chase her anymore. She'll feel it. She'll notice. And she'll be drawn in without you needing to say a word. Seduction starts with self-respect. If you don't value yourself, she won't either. Everything begins with how you see yourself. If you walk through life with your head down, constantly apologizing for existing, constantly trying to please others just to feel seen, then you're not in a position to seduce anyone. You're already submitting. A man who lacks self-respect will always try to earn love through effort instead of presence. He'll overextend, overgive, overexplain, and in the process, he'll lose every ounce of mystery power and masculine edge he had. Women don't fall for the man who tries too hard. They fall for the one who knows he doesn't need to. And that only happens when self-respect is non-negotiable. When you truly respect yourself, you don't tolerate disrespect. Not from women, not from friends, not from family, not from strangers. You have standards and you enforce them even when it's uncomfortable. That kind of energy is rare and it's magnetic. Women pay attention to how you carry yourself when things don't go your way. Do you fold? Do you beg? Do you become emotional and reactive? Or do you hold the line? The man who walks away when he's not met with the same level of respect he gives is the man who sets the frame. That frame is everything in seduction. It tells her that you don't just want her. You choose her, and you have the strength to unchoose her if she steps wrong. That's not cruelty. That's clarity. And clarity is attractive. Self-respect shows up in the details, in how you dress, in how you speak, in how you manage your time, in the kind of conversations you allow, in the people you surround yourself with, in the goals you pursue, in your relationship with your body, your health, your money, your discipline. You can't seduce a woman when your life is in chaos and your inner world is out of control. You can't expect her to be drawn to you if you're not even drawn to yourself. That's the root of everything. Self-respect means becoming a man you're proud of, not just when people are watching, but especially when they're not. It's how you treat yourself at your lowest that defines the kind of energy you carry at your best. Too many men try to impress women before they've even impressed themselves. They build their entire approach around what she wants, left, what she likes, what she's looking for, but real seduction doesn't work that way. It's not about bending to fit her idea of a dream man. It's about becoming so rooted in your identity that she feels invited into your world, not the other way around. That shift is powerful. It turns the tables. Now, you're not chasing, you're attracting. You're not seeking validation. You're offering an experience. And that experience is only possible when you deeply value your time, your attention, your presence. Self-respect is also the foundation of emotional control. When you respect yourself, you don't let your feelings run wild. You process. You stay grounded. You don't let rejection define your worth. You don't get thrown off by silence tests or temporary distance. You understand that not everything deserves a reaction. That kind of calm is dangerous in the best way. It makes women lean in. It creates tension. It builds desire because most men are emotionally weak. Most men react, chase, apologize, collapse under pressure. But the man who stands tall, who respects himself no matter how the game plays out, becomes unforgettable. She might not always agree with him, but she'll respect him. And respect is the seed of desire. Self-respect also means not using women to fill the void in your own life. It means you're whole before she even enters the picture. You're not looking for someone to save you, heal you, or complete you. You've already done the work. You've already built the foundation. She's not your escape. She's a bonus. And that's what makes you powerful. That's what makes your presence heavy. That's what makes your energy hard to forget. When a woman senses that you respect yourself enough to walk away from anything that costs your peace, she sees value. And where there is value, there is attraction. A man with self-respect does not fear being alone. He knows solitude is not emptiness, it's power. He uses that time to sharpen himself, to build, to think, to plan, to train, to create. And when he does step into the dating world, he's not needy. He's not desperate. He's selective. That selectiveness turns seduction into an art because now every word, every glance, every interaction carries weight. She feels the difference. She sees you're not just another guy throwing lines and hoping something sticks. You're a man of substance, a man of presence. A man who respects himself so deeply that it sets the tone for how others treat him. And that tone is what makes everything else possible. Don't chase, lead. Women follow energy, not desperation. Most men think that seduction is a performance. They believe it's about constantly showing effort, texting first, planning everything, proving their worth, trying to convince her to give them a chance. That mindset comes from a place of lack. A man who chases is a man who believes he needs to work hard just to be noticed. He thinks the more attention he gives, the more effort he puts in, the better his chances. But the truth is, the more you chase, the more she runs, because real attraction doesn't respond to desperation. It responds to direction, to leadership, to calm certainty that doesn't flinch when tested. When you chase, you give away your power. When you lead, you hold it. Leading doesn't mean controlling. It means moving with clarity and intention. It means you know where you're going and you're not afraid to walk that path, whether she joins or not. You're not waiting for her approval. You're not adjusting your pace for her comfort. You're focused on your purpose, your mission, your values. That kind of energy is rare, and that's exactly why it attracts. Women are drawn to men who create gravity. When you lead, you become the center of your own universe. You stop orbiting around her. You stop reacting to her signals, her moods, her availability. You act from vision, not emotion. And that shift changes everything. When a man leads, he invites her into his world, not the other way around. He doesn't need to mirror her to gain access. He creates the energy that draws her in without pressure. He doesn't ask what she wants in a man. He shows her who he is. He doesn't beg for her time. He offers presence that is rooted in value. Women follow energy because they are emotionally intuitive. They feel the difference between a man who stands firm and a man who's seeking permission to exist. Chasing is an emotional leak. It tells her you're unsure of yourself. It tells her you don't trust your own value. It tells her you think she's above you. That energy kills attraction instantly. Leadership means being decisive. It means taking initiative. It means knowing what you want and moving toward it without hesitation. A man who leads doesn't wait for signs or signals. He creates opportunities. He's proactive, not reactive. He doesn't overthink every word, every move, every response. He trusts his instincts. He moves with calm authority. And that confidence speaks louder than words. A woman may not understand why she feels pulled toward that kind of man, but she does. She feels safe in his presence because he's not seeking her to complete him. He's already whole. He's not chasing a high. He's simply living in alignment. And when a woman feels that, she wants to follow, not because she has to, but because she's inspired to. When you chase, you signal that her value is greater than yours. When you lead, you signal that your value is already established. You're not seeking validation. You're expressing identity. You're not afraid to walk alone. That confidence builds the kind of dynamic that turns heads. It's not just about being alpha or dominant. It's about being rooted, being stable, being calm in your energy and firm in your direction. When you operate from that space, everything about your presence shifts. You speak differently. You move differently. You stop over-explaining, overthinking, over-investing. You stop chasing outcomes and start embodying presence. And presence is what makes her want to lean in. Chasing drains your energy. It turns the interaction into a transaction. You start expecting returns for your effort. You start getting frustrated when she doesn't respond the way you hoped. That frustration builds resentment, and resentment breeds insecurity. But leadership never needs return. Leadership is internal. It's for you first. When you lead, you don't worry about what she thinks. You focus on staying in alignment with who you are. You focus on how you show up, not how she reacts. That's real masculine energy. That's what creates tension. That's what sparks desire, because women don't want a man who clings. They want a man who carries. They want a man who can walk forward, even if the path gets lonely. They want a man who doesn't stop being himself to please someone else. They want a man who leads without asking for permission. Leadership means you're not afraid of rejection. You're not afraid of silence. You're not afraid to walk away when something doesn't match your standards. That kind of detachment is powerful. It creates space for real connection instead of forcing something that's not aligned. When you stop chasing and start leading, you regain control over your emotional state. You stop riding the highs and lows of someone else's attention. You build a grounded presence that doesn't waver. And from that space, seduction becomes natural, because you're not trying to make something happen. You're letting her experience who you truly are without filters, without performance, without need. And that kind of authenticity, wrapped in leadership, is what turns attraction into obsession. Speak with purpose, not pressure. Mystery turns her on more than begging ever will. Most men talk too much when they're around a woman they're attracted to. They try to fill every silence, explain every thought, impress with every word. But that energy feels heavy. It feels like pressure. It feels like a man trying to force a connection instead of letting one happen naturally. Seduction doesn't live in over-communication. It lives in calm presence, in words chosen with intention, in the ability to say less while meaning more. Women aren't drawn to men who talk just to be heard. They're drawn to men who speak like they already know they're worth listening to. When you speak with purpose, every word counts. Your tone carries weight. Your pauses build tension. You don't ramble. You don't overshare, and you definitely don't seek approval with every sentence. You speak from clarity, not anxiety. That shift in communication style makes you unpredictable, and unpredictability creates intrigue. Women want to explore, not be given everything up front. When you reveal everything about yourself too quickly, when you lay your emotions, intentions, and desires all on the table within minutes of meeting her, you leave no space for curiosity. And curiosity is the fuel of attraction. without it. There's no reason for her to stay engaged. No excitement. No emotional hook. Just a man who emptied himself too fast. Mystery isn't about being fake or playing games. It's about restraint. It's about not giving away your whole story in the first few minutes. It's about letting her discover who you are layer by layer. Instead of trying to impress her with surface level details, purposeful speech means you don't seek validation through words. You're not fishing for compliments. You're not trying to win her approval with long stories or exaggerated opinions. You're simply expressing what's real, calmly, directly, and with zero attachment to outcome. That emotional detachment is powerful. It makes you appear grounded. It makes her feel like you have nothing to prove. And that, more than anything, draws her in. Most men think being open means saying everything they think and feel. But real openness is different. It's about being honest without being needy, vulnerable without being weak, direct without being desperate. When you speak with purpose, you choose moments to reveal yourself, not to seek validation, but to express truth. That truth, delivered without pressure or performance, creates depth. Women want to feel your depth, not your desperation. They want to know there's more to you than what you show the world. But you don't need to put it all on display immediately. You let them earn access to it. You speak with intention. You let your silence say as much as your words. Silence isn't awkward when you're confident. It becomes a tool. Pause between sentences can create more tension than 100 compliments. A slow response, a thoughtful look, a calm smile. These things build anticipation. They create space for her to wonder what you're thinking, how you see her, what you're going to say next. That space is where seduction lives. It's not about filling the air with empty talk. It's about using your energy to guide the moment. When you speak, it's not to impress. It's to connect. It's to express truth, not seek a reaction. Begging never works because it puts you below her. It signals that you're trying to earn something from her. That energy reverses polarity. It turns off attraction. Seduction only happens when there's tension, and tension requires equality or dominance, not submission. When you speak with pressure, when you constantly seek approval through your words, you shrink. You become predictable. You become emotionally transparent in the wrong way. There's no challenge, no mystery, nothing for her to lean into. But when you hold your energy, when you speak like a man who knows who he is, she leans forward. She listens. She wonders. That wonder is where desire grows. Most men fear silence because they think it means they're failing. But in reality, silence is power when used with intention. It gives her space to feel your presence, to notice your body language, to sense your confidence. Words are important, but the energy behind them matters more. Purposeful speech is rooted in self-respect. You're not trying to win her over. You're not trying to fill the moment with noise. You're showing up fully grounded and letting her feel that. You ask questions that matter. You respond slowly. You express yourself with clarity. And most importantly, you never speak from a place of need. You speak because you have something real to say. That kind of communication doesn't just get attention. It earns respect, creates chemistry, and builds emotional tension that no amount of surface talk can ever achieve. Upgrade your life, not your pickup lines. She wants a man with direction, not distraction. Most men are obsessed with tactics. They scroll through endless videos, memorize opening lines, copy clever phrases, left, all hoping to find that one magic sentence that will make her melt. But no woman is truly attracted to words alone. What pulls her in, what keeps her thinking about you, what creates that deep-rooted attraction is the man behind the words. You can have the slickest pickup line in the world, but if your life is a mess, if you're broke, lost, unhealthy, unfocused, she'll feel that. She might smile at your line, but she won't stay for your energy. Women are intuitive. They feel more than they hear. They notice the tone in your voice, the confidence in your posture, the direction in your choices. If your foundation is weak, your seduction will always fail, no matter how smooth your words are. Men who chase game over growth are stuck in surface level thinking. They believe attraction is a performance. They put effort into conversations, but none into character. They spend hours watching content about how to get women, but none on how to become better men. That's why they stay stuck. Because true seduction isn't about tricks. It's about transformation. It's about becoming a man whose life naturally attracts left, not one who's constantly trying to convince. That shift is everything. When you start upgrading your habits, your discipline, your health, your finances, your goals, your mindset, you start walking differently, talking differently, thinking differently. And women notice. You stop needing to impress because your energy already speaks. A man with direction doesn't need to chase attention. He's too focused on building. He's too committed to purpose. That kind of focus is rare in a world full of distractions. Most men are scattered. They don't know who they are, where they're going, or why they're even trying to date. And women feel that confusion. It's repelling. But the man who moves with intention, who builds his world with clarity, who's building something bigger than just relationships, that man becomes magnetic. He becomes the kind of man women want to be around because his energy is grounding. She doesn't have to question his worth. He shows it in how he lives. Life upgrades are seductive because they reflect inner strength. Hitting the gym consistently, even when you don't feel like it, builds discipline. Reading books instead of wasting time scrolling sharpens your mind. Learning a new skill increases your value. Fixing your finances, setting long-term goals, managing your emotions. All of these things add weight to your presence. That weight is what she feels when you enter a room. It's not about being flashy or showing off. It's about being grounded, stable, purpose-driven. That presence doesn't come from memorizing lines. It comes from living right. A woman doesn't want to be your purpose. She wants to join you on your path. She doesn't want to be your motivation to grow. Oh, she wants to be inspired by the man who's already growing. That's a key difference. When you treat her like a goal, she becomes pressure. When you treat her like a companion on the path, she becomes excited. But to do that, you must have a path. You must have a life that is evolving, improving, ascending. When you lack direction, you look for meaning in relationships. You become overly attached, emotionally unstable, easily thrown off. But when you have a mission, she becomes part of your world, not the center of it. That balance is attractive. It's masculine. It's powerful. Upgrading your life also builds self-respect, and self-respect is foundational to seduction. A man who's proud of who he's becoming doesn't tolerate games. He doesn't beg for attention. He doesn't get stuck in the cycle of neediness and disappointment. And he chooses women based on alignment, not appearance alone. He doesn't fall in love with potential. He evaluates based on values, actions, and energy. And that selectiveness makes him valuable. Women can sense when they're dealing with a man who has options, not because he's a player, but because he's built a life that naturally attracts people. A man with direction doesn't need pickup lines. His life does the talking. His habits do the talking. His growth speaks volumes. And that unspoken energy is far more seductive than anything you could say. The man who focuses on upgrading his life becomes harder to forget, not because he used the right words, but because he showed up different. She remembers how he made her feel safe, challenged, inspired. That feeling doesn't come from lines, and it comes from alignment, from self-work, from building, sharpening, refining. Every day you waste chasing shortcuts is a day you could have used to evolve. Every hour spent learning tricks could have been used to become more disciplined, more grounded, more impactful. Because at the end of the day, she doesn't want a man who memorized his lines. She wants a man who's writing his story. And that story begins the moment you stop chasing her and start building you.